Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, welcome back to my video.
Hi vlog, welcome to my guys. Okay.
My name is Aulia Nida and I'm going to explain my lesson plan that I have made before. Okay, for the first one is the name of teacher. I use my name as a teacher, Aulia Nida SPD. And the name of school is SMAN 1 Simpang 4 and the subject is English. The grade is 12th and the topic is May I help you on chapter 1 and the text type is interpersonal text. And the skills that I use are writing and speaking skills and the last time allocation 1 times 15 minutes. So, next to the core competencies. I think there are no more explanation for this one because as we know this is from our government, right? So we move to the basic competence and indicators of competence achievement. For the basic competence is taken from the government draft and you can see on my lesson plan there are 2 numbers in the basic competence, which is in the number 1 is about cognitive and the number 2 is about psychomotor. So, in the cognitive, the number of basic competence is 3.1 and it sounds like to apply social function, text structure, and linguistic elements of oral and written interpersonal interactions involving the act of offering services and responding to them, according to the context of their use. Note, the linguistic elements, may I help you? What can I do for you? And the last, what if? And then, in the psychomotor, the numbers of basic competence is 4.1 and sound like to compile simple interpersonal oral and written interaction text that involve the act of offering services and respond to them by paying attention to social functions, the structure of text, and refining linguistic elements in context. And then, you can see beside of basic competence, there is indicators of competence achievement. That is like what the teacher want to do to reach the basic competence. So, in the cognitive, there are 2 numbers. The first one is 3.1.1 and the sound like to identify the structure of linguistic element in interpersonal interaction text by oral and written. And the second is 3.1.2 and the sound like to describe the act of offering services and responding to them according to the context of their use. And then in the psychomotor, there are 2 numbers. The first one is 4.1.1 and the sound like to create a simple interpersonal interaction text that involves the act of offering services and respond to them by paying attention to social function, the structure of text, and refining linguistic elements in context. And the last is 4.1.2 and the sound like to perform their simple interpersonal interaction text that they had made precise in front of class. Okay. We move to the learning objective. As a teacher, in the end of class, I want my students will be able to analyze the structure of linguistic element in interpersonal text through group discussion in a meaningful way. And the second is the students will be able to present their own simple interpersonal interaction text that they have made in front of class in a meaningful way. And for attitude values focus, there are 3 attitude values focus. There are the first is religious, the second integrity, and the third is mutual cooperation. Next is learning materials. You can see on my lesson plan, this is the learning materials that the teacher used for teaching and learning process, and this is about interpersonal text of asking and giving services. For the example, is about asking or offering services. And then, the principle in this lesson plan. The teacher explained about dominant language feature about using models. What are they? The first is, may I help you? The second is, what can I do for you? And the third is, what if? And the next is, procedure. In the end of the lesson, the students can write the interpersonal text about asking and giving services. And then, the learning materials for remedial and also learning materials for enrichment you can see on my lesson plan. Okay, we move to learning method. The approach that I use is scientific approach and the learning model is CLT or communicative language teaching. And the next is learning media. There are several media in this lesson plan. For the first one is InFocus LCD projector. The second is PowerPoint presentation. The third is laptop. And the last is textbook. Okay. Next to learning sources. There are several learning sources. The first one is Kementerian Pendidikan dan Kebudayaan. The second is module or learning materials. And the third is internet. And the last is another relevant sources. Okay, I would like to tell you about my teaching learning activity for about 15 minutes. First, on the opening, and time is 2 minutes. In the opening activity, there are several steps what the teachers has to do. And they are orientation, what the teacher want the students to have religious character, and the second is apperception, which the teacher connecting to materials that will be done to the students' experience in the previous level. And the third is motivation. The teacher give the motivation to learn these materials, and the fourth is giving references, which the teacher tell to students about the materials that will be discussed. And in the main activity, for about 12 minutes for stimulation, there are literation activities. In the literation activities, there are several steps, and they are first is viewing the teacher display relevant picture or photos or videos, and then observing. And in the observing, the teacher showing a short video from YouTube about asking and offering services, an example. And the next is reading. In reading, students are asked to read material from textbooks or other supporting books from the internet or related material. And the topic is interpersonal text about asking and giving services by using models. And the last is listening. In listening, students are asked to listen to the material given by the teacher, which is related to interpersonal text in form of asking for and giving services on chapter 1, page 4. And the last is create simple dialogue asking and giving services by using models. And then, in the problem statement, there is critical thinking. The teacher has some questions to students, and the first question is, what is asking and giving services for? What kind of models we can use? When we use the models for asking and giving services, what are responses? And what student has to do is answer the question from the teacher. The first answer is, the meaning of asking and giving services are, the dominant language features of asking and giving services are, and the responses are. Okay, next is data collection. And in data collection, there are collaboration and critical thinking. In these steps, the students are asked to explore their knowledge by reading reference books about how to use models for asking and giving services by written and oral. And then, in representing activities, The learners do the following activities below. The students work in pairs to analyze the dominant language features of asking and giving services based on the video. The students work in pairs to discuss and make a short conversation about asking and giving services by using the dominant language features. The next is the students are doing role play based on the conversation that they had made. And the last is the students are doing exercise, fill in the blank about asking and giving services. And after that, the students exchange the information about how to make and use asking and giving services correctly. And next, to data processing. In data processing, there is critical thinking. The students can know how to identify the dominant language features of interpersonal text about asking and giving services, how to make interpersonal text about asking and giving services according to the dominant language features, and the last is how to use the dominant language features of interpersonal text about asking and giving services correctly. And then, in the verification, there is the critical thinking. In this step, the students present in front of class their own conversation asking and giving services, and this is include the speaking skill. And the next is generalization. In the generalization, this is communication. The students are discussing to summarize simple conversations that are related in real life. And the last is closing activity. The students has make a summary to know their understanding about the lesson, and also this is can make their day more creative, of course. And then for teacher, the teacher have to checking students' work completed immediately, and the teacher give award to group that have good performance and collaboration. Next, we move to assessment, remedial, and enrichment. The teacher have three kinds of assessment. The first is affective, for spiritual, and social. For this kind of assessment, there is observation or journal based on the character that the teacher wants students to have in the classroom. And here are the character. The first is religious, the second is integrity, and the third is mutual cooperation. And for the cognitive, the teacher used written text. And for the psychomotor, are the students' performance, the teacher have the rubric for the writing and speaking skill. Okay, you can see on my lesson plan, there is the rubric of writing assessment and there is the rubric for speaking assessment. Okay guys, I think that's all explanation from me. I'm so sorry for my mistakes. And the last, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.